Hi everyone, today is lesson 6, outline body, counterclaims, rebuttals, and conclusion. Today we'll finish up filling out our argument speech outlines. Go ahead and read the 3 goals with me. Goal number 1, I can outline an argument speech. 2, I can acknowledge counterclaims and provide rebuttals. And 3, I can write an effective conclusion. Acknowledge counterclaims and provide rebuttals. And 3, I can write an effective conclusion. We're going to review the terms counterclaim and rebuttal so we know specifically what we are trying to provide for our own arguments. So if you can recall, counterclaim addresses the opposite position on the issue. So counter means opposite. So think about your own issue right now, your stance, your claim. What is the opposite of your claim? So if you can recall, my claim is that U.S. schools should reopen in fall 2020. So the counterclaim would then be that schools should not reopen in fall 2020. With each counterclaim, you are then going to present a rebuttal. So your rebuttal is your response that proves the opposing side is incorrect or flawed in some way. So you'll acknowledge that opposite position, and then you'll prove why that opposing side is incorrect or flawed. So we're going to return to our argument speech outline, and today we're going to start off with body lesson 6, counterclaims and rebuttals. This is the first section we'll fill out, and this is what you need to include in this section. You need to include 2 counterclaims and a rebuttal to follow up each counterclaim. So 2 counterclaims and 2 rebuttals. And then you also need 2 pieces of evidence to support your rebuttals. So we've provided some sentence starters here for you to begin your counterclaim and then to begin your rebuttal. So here's some examples here. Some people may say, counterclaim, what they don't realize, rebuttal. Or it may be believed that, counterclaim, what they don't realize is rebuttal. Okay, so these are just some ways in which you can begin those sentences. And we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Now, in addition to what we're providing here in your outline, we've also provided a PDF inside your Lesson 6 folder that's titled Counterclaim and Rebuttal Sentence Starters. And this is an additional list or an additional tool for you so that you can pick and choose whatever you would like to use for your own introduction of your counterclaims and your rebuttals, just to give you a little bit more of a choice. Let's begin. So again, my claim is U.S. schools should reopen in the fall. So I'm providing 2 counterclaims that say that they shouldn't. Okay? And I'm just going to put my first example, my first counterclaim up first with everything else that's included. And then we'll just kind of break it down sentence by sentence. So I'm going to start off with my counterclaim. And my sentence starter is in blue. So if you want to use this sentence starter for your own counterclaim, you could. An obvious common argument against U.S. schools reopening in the fall is that this could increase the chance of vulnerable staff and students to get infected at school and would impact their health. So that's my counterclaim, opposite my claim. Now I'm going to follow up with why this is flawed or wrong. What they don't realize is that, here's my sentence starter and my rebuttals in green. If students and staff don't go back, it could impact their health in a different way, their mental health. So I've provided a counterclaim and a rebuttal, but I also need to back up my rebuttal with a piece of evidence. Okay, so then I need to include an evidence to support how are people impacted with their mental health if we don't go back. What's a piece of evidence that supports this? Well, according to a recent KFF poll, nearly half, 45%, wow, of adults in the United States reported that their mental health has been negatively impacted due to worry and stress over the virus. As the pandemic wears on, it is likely the mental health burden will increase as measures taken to slow the spread of the virus, such as social distancing, business and school closures, and shelter-in-place orders lead to greater isolation and potential financial distress. Now you'll notice that I've included my direct quote from my source here in parentheses, and I've also included that citation, the author's last name, inside my citation. I'm going to wrap up this counterclaim section with a summary sentence of how that evidence supports. This shows our mental health could be compromised and negatively impact all involved. Okay, so there you have it. There's my first counterclaim, rebuttal, and evidence to support the rebuttal. I am not done. I need to include one more counterclaim, rebuttal, and piece of evidence. So here's my second. Oops, sorry. We also need to identify the source that this piece of evidence came from. So we're just going to put that where it says identify source used. You're going to cut and paste your URL that this quote came from right below. Now we can move on to our second example. My second counterclaim is the following. Starting off with my sentence starter in blue. Some people may also say that it is impossible to meet CDC safety requirements in order to reopen schools safely. So that's the counterclaim. How am I going to prove it wrong? Beginning with my sentence starter in blue. While this may be true that it would be challenging to meet CDC requirements, such as smaller classroom sizes, hallway procedures, and eating lunches in a classroom instead of congregating in a large cafeteria, other countries have proven it is possible, and the U.S. owes it to our students, the future generation, to try. Okay, so I've proven that other countries are doing it, so it is plausible, it is possible, and now I need to provide a piece of evidence to support this rebuttal. What countries have proven this, right? Well, CNN reported Denmark became the first country in Western Europe to reopen elementary schools. There is more distancing, hand washing, and disinfecting of surfaces. In the Netherlands, elementary students will begin attending in a staggered fashion on May 11th. Okay, so that came from my second source, CNN source, right? And there's my author's last name in parentheses. I've used quotation marks, direct quotes. Ooh, I forgot my direct quotes or my quotation marks at the end here, but that should be there. And now I'm just going to wrap it up quick. These reports prove schools can reopen in a controlled and safe fashion. Okay, so there's my second counterclaim, the rebuttal to follow it up, and of course a piece of evidence that supports my rebuttal. Now, that's my second source. I need to put down the URL for that, copy and paste that URL that I've provided here. So there you have it. That's your counterclaims and rebuttals section. It should look similar to this, where I can pinpoint that you have a counterclaim, a rebuttal, evidence, and then a second counterclaim, a second rebuttal, and piece of evidence to support that. So now we're going to finish up this outline with your conclusion. So yes, this is in addition to this part of your outline. We are going to just wrap this up because it won't take you long to do with your conclusion, which is a part of lesson 6. So here's what you need to include in your conclusion. You ready? You're going to restate your claim and review your main points. You're going to call to action what steps can audience members take, and then you're going to kind of reflect. Okay, so this is kind of like an aha moment, or refer back to the opening, for instance, what lesson has been learned. Okay, so I'm just going to put it all up there for you, and we'll break it down with each section. So here is my restating my claim. To conclude, with some precautions, U.S. schools should reopen in the fall. Just rephrasing it ever so slightly. And then I'm going to list my main points, right? Going back to what were my reasons, reason 1 and 2. Because it increases academic success, that should be it. It increases academic success, student participation, and it would improve staff and student mental health. Therefore, call to action. We need to band together and voice our concerns to our local legislators, saying in favor of schools reopening in fall 2020. Final piece is some type of reflection, okay? This is an ever-present issue that should be addressed for the sake of our country's future. Restate your claim and your main points. Call to action, what should we do with this information? And quickly reflect, what lesson has been learned? There you have it, 10th graders. Here is your assignment for today. You're going to access your argument speech outline packet from your last lesson. You're going to fill out the argument speech body, counterclaims and rebuttals, and conclusion. Then you're going to take a screenshot of the lesson 6 work. So I should see a screenshot for counterclaims and rebuttals. I should see a separate screenshot for your conclusions. You're going to submit this to where you'll find it titled Lesson 6, Outline Body, Counterclaims, Rebuttals, and Outline Conclusion. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.